So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live show with a live stream recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I'm going to do something a bit different this today and do a flip of different colour books. This one is the Fairy colour book, and it was my daughter's. I bought them probably 10 years ago when my children were little. So they haven't really coloured in many pages, so I thought I'd do a flip, and I've actually found on eBay that Alice Blueberry's Fairy colouring books are still available, and they're quite a decent price as well. And this paper, it's not like modern printing paper, so it's a little bit rougher, and so I think it might take pastel well. So I intend to scan them in and do them digitally on my little Digi Oogie, which is sitting just in front of me there. And I also intend to do them with pastels as well. And because I have two daughters, there's 2 years and 2 days between them, I tended to buy things, I used to buy things for them the same. So if they both got colouring books, they both got the same colouring books, and there was never any arguments, and there was never any complaints. And when they were little, they used to say we're twins, we're not sisters. So they're still quite well, get on well together. So I always used to buy 2 of everything. So I do have 2 of these colour books. So the first one is called, and I say I've had this, one of them is 19 now, so I must have had these 10, 15 years. Alice Blueberry's Fairy colouring book. And it says Peter Haddock Publishing. And I think there's probably 1 or 2 different ones on there. So again, I wanted to do a little flip because these drawings are really, really nice. And of course, these came out long before colouring for adults. So I may have bought these when they were a bit older, maybe, because they look to be quite well drawn, whereas toddlers, you give them very, very simple ones. So this is a live stream with live people, so I'm periodically looking at the chat and squinting because I don't have my glasses on. But I really liked the quality of these drawings, and again, adult colouring books need that kind of. This is what I would, if I was going to draw anything, so if I was going to do a painting, this is the standard, this is the amount of detail that I would want to start off an oil painting, a watercolour. If it was kind of rubbed out very pale, you wouldn't be this dark if you're doing a watercolour, unless you're doing a line and wash. But this is the kind of detail that you need for a decent oil painting acrylic. And so that actually instantly makes me feel this is a good page, this is a good book. There's the right amount of detail to just give you an indication of, you know, you are not going to just do the toadstools, you're going to be wanting to put the little dots on. Her kind of dress has got creases in, so you know that there's going to be some dark creases here and light and dark. The leaves have actually got holes in them, so you know the fallen leaves. That kind of detail is just enough to give you the information you need when you're doing a proper painting. And so you can obviously do a decent colouring page with it. There's not too much detail, but there's just enough to give you a hint of what's going on, and that's what you need. So I shall be scanning all these into my with my printer, and then I will be colouring them in digitally, but I'll also be trying to colour them in with pastel pencils as well. And again, this is another one. With the pastels, you can get some beautiful reflections on the water. And these are actually perforated. Oops, so they will actually come out. And again, my daughters would actually brought these down to throw out. Well, they knew I'd keep them, but they were clearing out. One was going to uni, so they were having a good clear out. And since quite an early age, I think 6 and 8 years old, I encouraged them to draw with a biro. So they very soon got out of colouring in, and they wanted to do their own doodles, and that's what they've always done. They've always had a sketchbook with them, and they've nearly always drawn with pen. And a black biro or a blue biro gives beautiful marks. So if you don't think you need expensive things, because a biro and some printer paper from £2.50 from Tesco's, you've got 250, 300 pages, and if you turn them over, you've got one on the other side. And and keep them together, and you have a really nice drawing section to practice. So you don't need expensive colour books. The only time you need proper expensive things is if you're doing a watercolour. You can't watercolour on cheap watercolour paper, and you can't do it on kids. I've tried. I'm a tight Yorkshire lass. You get mush. It will not flow. And you need to put your watercolours actually on a board wet and tie them down, tape them down and let them dry overnight so the paper shrinks. Then when you put your water on, it's never going to buckle because you've already stretched it. So I might actually try and do one of those as well to show how to actually put your paper on a board ready for watercolour, and then you'll never have any problems with your watercolours. You can use the cheapest watercolours because your paper is set down. This is another lovely one which would be quite good. If anybody's got any questions, pop them in caps. Oh, hi Miss Q, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Has anybody found those little books yet? And again, lovely detail on here for colours, especially that we know how we love to colour our pages, and the beautiful colours of these ferns from a forest. So again, you could have a really dark forest with a bit of highlight on him. That would be quite good. Really love how fun these are. Beautiful, beautiful drawings. I have actually always admired them. And again, my daughters have coloured in a little bit. But I think these would make some really, really, really nice coloured pages. And the paper is, as I say, it's a nice thick, it's got a bit of a feel to it. It's a bit rougher. It's not shiny. So I think pastels will do really well on these. And again, absolutely love the detail. Did you want me to zoom in? Can everybody see that? Can we all see how wonderful they are? I mean, look at all these beautiful little snowdrops. And I keep thinking, I don't need any more colour books. But I've seen, I think there's about 3 or 4 different colour books. Again, the peacock. I mean, you can just imagine all these beautiful purples and teals. Really, really pretty. Pretty books. So I'm going to actually see if I can find them. I saw one, it said it was £2.80. I can live with that. I can live with that. So if there's about 5 or 6, I shall be buying them all, because I think they'll be really, really pretty to do. And again, you've got all these highlights and shadows in all these leaves. And if you looked at a particular flower, you could make all these petals completely reality. with the butterfly wings. So we have some very, very nice ones, and apologies if there's a bark alert, but I need to keep talking because Alfie will not, the little pup underneath, well, I call him a pup, little trouble under the table, will not hear next door's dogs barking. And good to see male fairies as well, and pixies, and they're quite good fun. And again, my children using their I would never have done fluorescent zigzags tights, but and again some nice flesh as well, so you can really get your flesh colors going, and faces. So that's another good thing. So it's a really good color book to get a lot of different techniques. So I really think this is a really nice one, and I love the one at the end with the mice. I think that should actually be the cover one. I think that is gorgeous. I just zoom in a bit. See if I can just pan in a little bit and show a bit of detail, because this is just so pretty. There's the 3 fairies sitting on their toadstools, and the toadstools are so well drawn. Very well drawn, and then there's the little mice looking at them. Very pretty, that. I really like that one. And again, another gentleman elf. So that was the Alice Blueberries colouring book, and it was my daughter's, and I said that she's 19 and she was going to uni, and she said, "Mum, I don't want this. I suppose you do." So it was quite a nice free gift, was that. And it's a bigger size as well. It's slightly bigger, just very slightly big. Oops, I'll pan back now. It's just slightly bigger than A4, which is 11.5 by 8 and a bit. Have a look. Oopsie. 8.5 by 11 and 11 3/4. So that one will be 9.5. Yes, 9.5 by 12. So the next book, that's a very old book which had some really nice drawings in it, and this one is Colouring Heaven Gothic Special. And again, I found this in W.H. Smith. My daughters pushed me in the wheelchair and left me there for a few minutes. They wanted to go off, so I said, "Oh, leave me in front of the colouring books." And some of them I didn't particularly like, but this one, and I thought, well, I'll have this. So this is Colouring Heaven Gothic Special. And again, I got it before I remembered the fairy book, because I wanted to practice highlights in hair and also material. So there's a lot of really flowy material and flowy hair, and I thought that would be quite good. In fact, this would be quite good to use chameleon pens. I could maybe use chameleon pens in here because they're single-sided. In fact, I think I might do that. I might do that. Yeah, I might do that. And again, we've got some witches and really, really nice ribbons. And so obviously that's a huge dark moon. So really want to play with pastels, but actually I think chameleon pens will do quite well in here. Some of them are kind of a little bit strange, but you know, you can block that out, and she can be in a pink dress. Again, you can make proper feathers, big white feathers, really make that stand out. Again, quite good for faces and flesh. good to practice contours and practice shadows and light hitting a face, so you can decide that the light's coming this way or this way. I probably do left. Then all this is going to be in bright light, all the shoulder, the arm, the hand, and yet this side will be in shadow. So if anybody's got any questions, pop them in caps. Because this is a live show with live peoples, recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I'm doing a quick flick through Colouring Heaven Gothic Special. And if you actually, if we see if we can find the drawings, they're very, very similar. And again, that's what draws me to a colour book. There's enough detail there that if I was doing a painting, I would take the drawing to this stage. If it was a watercolour, I would then rub it out and just leave a very faint, image. If it was line and wash, go over it with ink, then do line and wash. But if you look at them side by side, they're very, very good detailed drawings. So one's quite an old one and one's quite a new one. So you don't have to get new ones and expensive ones, although this was a very good price. Again, really, really like the idea. My chameleon pens are kind of, that's the reason I bought it. I love that dress. So that's, and again the cat, I'm pretty sure I'm going to use chameleon pens in here. Because I can just about use a chameleon pen. They're the very fat, chunky pens. And my daughter gave me them back because she's coming to the end of the final major, so she won't be using them. So she's actually given them these back, and I love these. Again, wish I could afford the full set. They brought out a 50, but I just can't afford them. But I did buy them for her, but they have a wonderful stand, so you just open them up, put them on the desk, and you get one out. They are huge, and that's why you can use them if you've got poorly hands. They are 8.5 inches long, but they are huge, so you can quite easily, and then you just snap the tops on. So they are pretty good if you've got poorly hands. And you don't need lots of colours. Every pen gives you at least 10 shades. And I've done a couple of videos on here. Where's Hermione? She was on the floor actually getting crushed. I think my husband picked it up. But I really like playing with chameleon pens. I think that was a chameleon pen. Yeah, that was a practice. And you have one pen and you just, oh sorry, I've forgotten I'm on the different mic. So you have one pen and you just put toner to it and it makes it lighter, and then you just carry on and slowly the colour will come back. So you get these really, really wonderful blends, and you do it in one. It takes you about a second to do it, about 3 seconds to do a leaf. Very, very quick. Really like using those. Oh, sorry to hear that, but Nadik, take care, darling. Do take care, and thank you for joining us. That was Hermione from the Harry Potter book. And I'd started that one. I'd forgotten I'd started that one. These are photocopies. And unfortunately they got put under the chair and I hadn't realised. So that's Hermione practicing with the blendable pens, highlights. I think I did that one. I think I did that one on a YouTube video as well. And then this one was a YouTube video of Hermione, and it's all blendable pens, and it doesn't take long because you you're working with them. So you start pale and work dark, but really liked working with those. So I can see that these pens, and I say I bought them again because doing graphics and also animation and illustration, she needed some markers. So instead of buying hundreds of markers for her, I bought that set, and basically there's 22 in there, so she's got 220 shades. So again, Tight Yorkshire Lass, a lot of research into them, and she did like them. So I can see these highlights in here, and the greys on there as well. So I really like playing with those, and I'd forgotten about that. So that's another medium that I can probably still keep using. And again, that was my first attempt at hair, and that was my second attempt at hair. So again, really nice, really lovely highlights. And so I can imagine that that's going to be, and it's not going to be too hard. I couldn't do that with markers, traditional markers, but I think I'm pretty sure that this is going to be chameleon pens. So we've got some more witches and broomsticks, vampire, and again, I think that would be quite good for practicing, really getting some highlights and bone structure. She hasn't got any bone structure at the moment, but give her some cheekbones, and she won't look like a plump vampire. So really think I might be able to do that. And again, this could be all kind of greys. I like to have a bit of a look at a book. I go through it and think about colours. And again, this is definitely a Tissot, a James Tissot. If I can find my book. So for that particular one, oh, sorry, oops. For that particular one, I will be getting my Tissot book out. I actually did my dissertation on James Tissot, because I think James Tissot is more important than Degas, and that's why my dissertation didn't get marked very well. So this is Tissot, and Tissot did lots and lots of Victorian dresses, and actually the people that use him, this is actually a photo collection of all his work. They're not in black and white, some are huge, but they begged him to, he was best friends with Whistler and Degas, and they wanted him to join the Impressionists movement, and he wouldn't because he was making enough money drawing traditionally. But you can't see these very well actually. I picked the wrong one, but definitely all the frills in the dresses. So I'm going to try and actually draw these in as a practice, and I think by the time I get to the end of all his works, my art should be a lot better. Just can't find one in book, in colour. So that's a couple of things that I'm going to change with my art, but that's okay. Things have got to change. I have so many books, and if the girls get any out for a topic or a project, they never go back in the right place. So apologies about that. So again, I can see all these Tissot folds. And again, the highlights. So sometimes you see a page and you think, I've no idea what I want to do. And sometimes you see a page and you think, oh wow, yeah, I think that reminds me of such and such. And definitely one of these dresses in here is like a Tissot dress with the frills. And again, I thought about having a little bit of flesh, so she's got stockings. This one I thought really dark grey coffin, but a bright pink basque and then red roses. I don't know why, I just thought, because at first I thought, how on earth am I going to colour this? But then it was the dresses and the folds that I wanted to do. And again, the Hagrid page, again, that was the stone, so I can get some nice stonework in here. So there's some really nice pages in here. Some of them are a little bit too vampy, but never mind. It does say that on the front, that it's Gothic. And we've got a lovely dragon. So again, I thought a really nice lemon and white Tissot dress and a deep red and green dragon. And sometimes you think, well, that's probably more like Disney. That's got to be kind of animated a little bit. So that is Colouring Heaven Gothic Special and the Fairy Colouring Book, which is going to be inspired by, very creased, Hermione's, she's chameleon pens. So I think that's what they're going to be. So thank you for watching.